By April 2026, roughly 20% of the world's traded oil and gas is paralyzed. The global economy is gripped by the most severe energy supply disruption in recorded history, bringing international trade to a virtual standstill. Domestically, Brent crude prices flatline before surging past $150 a barrel, spiking U.S. gasoline over $6. Meanwhile, Gulf oil production drops by 10 million barrels a day, triggering a severe grocery emergency. Qatar and Kuwait must now airlift basic food supplies. What began in February as a targeted military strike has escalated into a brutal test of economic endurance. The conflict has transitioned from a high-intensity kinetic shootout into a prolonged war of global attrition. To understand how we got here, we have to look back to February 28, 2026. That morning, a joint U.S.-Israeli military campaign known as Operation Epic Fury utilized over 100 aircraft to strike more than 1,000 targets within the first 24 hours. The primary objective was to dismantle the Iranian nuclear fuel cycle. They successfully inflicted significant damage on enrichment facilities across the country and completely destroyed the site at Fordo. The airstrikes also included a decapitation effort, the assassination of Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, along with a cohort of senior security officials, created a sudden leadership vacuum at the very top of the Iranian regime. But despite achieving near-total air superiority, the U.S. and Israel could not eliminate the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps' strategic reserves. The IRGC kept its asymmetric naval forces and mobile missile units largely intact and operational. Because the military strikes did not force a surrender, surviving hardliners in Tehran adapted. They shifted away from defending terrestrial infrastructure and decided to weaponize the world's most critical maritime choke point. Iran initiated a campaign of maritime denial, completely abandoning conventional naval warfare. Instead, they deployed a hybrid strategy of dropping unlocated naval mines and directly seizing commercial vessels. The IRGC leans heavily on fleets of these fast attack craft. By using swarm tactics, they easily overwhelm the defensive systems of massive commercial tankers. The mere threat of these attacks has pushed insurance premiums up by 600%, making the waterway effectively uninsurable. And the danger isn't contained to the immediate choke point. On March 4th, an Iranian sea drone struck an oil tanker anchored off Kuwait's coast, over 800 kilometers away from the strait, proving the IRGC can project this threat across the entire Gulf. This map illustrates how Iran attempts to maintain its own economic lifelines through a bizarre sorting mechanism. They actively block or target commercial vessels linked to the U.S. and its allies, while granting safe passage to ships from friendly nations like China and Russia. To legitimize this extortion, the Iranian parliament actually formalized it into law. They mandate that any vessel passing through the strait must pay a rial-based toll directly to the IRGC for supposed security services. Iran has effectively converted an international public waterway into a weaponized private toll booth, using global shipping as a lever to bleed Western economies. Seeking an end to the crisis, the highest-level U.S. and Iranian delegations since the 1979 revolution met in Islamabad for a grueling negotiation in mid-April. They came incredibly close to a deal, but the talks collapsed over a severe sequencing impasse. The U.S. demanded an immediate end to Iran's nuclear program, while Iran demanded the U.S. naval presence end before any nuclear talks could even begin. Following the diplomatic failure, Washington pivoted aggressively. They launched Phase 2 of Operation Epic Fury, a campaign aimed at the total economic isolation of the Iranian regime. To enforce this, the U.S. assembled its largest military buildup in the Middle East since 2003. They concentrated over 10,000 personnel and 3 distinct aircraft carrier strike groups into a single operational theater. With this armada in place, U.S. guided missile destroyers now intercept commercial traffic attempting to leave Iranian ports. Tankers are ordered to turn around or face destruction, starving the regime of the hard currency it relies on from oil exports. The result is a condition of recursive siege, a blockade of a blockade. 2 heavily armed opposing forces are selectively enforcing their own rules on maritime traffic, effectively paralyzing each other while dragging the global economy down with them. The dual siege has created a humanitarian crisis that now threatens the basic survival of the Gulf states. In a region with almost zero naturally renewable water resources, human life depends entirely on highly vulnerable water desalination infrastructure. This chart exposes exactly how fragile that lifeline is. Qatar, Bahrain, and Kuwait depend on desalination for over 90% of their potable water, and their municipal reserves are dangerously low, some with only days of backup capacity. The threat is no longer theoretical. Cross-border drone strikes have already damaged several regional desalination plants, and rhetoric from both sides about targeting civilian infrastructure continues to escalate. If these sprawling facilities are destroyed, it will cut off drinking water for tens of millions of people, risking a mass regional exodus and a catastrophic public health crisis. Inside Iran, Major General Ahmad Vahidi now dictates the strategy, and despite his country suffering well over $1 trillion in economic damage, Vahidi operates on the belief that Iran is actually winning the conflict. His strategy is based on a grim calculation. An authoritarian regime can brutally suppress internal dissent and absorb significantly more domestic pain than a Western democracy ever could. This split-screen graphic shows exactly what Vahidi is banking on. While the cost of living and gasoline prices skyrocket for American households, President Trump's overall job approval rating has plummeted to 36%. American voters have handed Washington a completely contradictory mandate. A broad majority agree that stopping Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon is a crucial national priority, but they refuse to endure the severe economic consequences required to actually achieve it. The ultimate weapon in this conflict is economic endurance. The Persian Gulf is locked in a high-stakes game of global chicken, and the longer both sides refuse to blink,